Good evening. Welcome to the inaugural show of Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. I am Mike Babicz, your host, and we've got a lot of folks to get on tonight. We want to thank especially Kent Jones and Drew that have helped us out at 216 The Net getting this show on the air. We'll be on every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. live streamed, and we'll get the word out. There's a lot of different ways that you can tune into us. And you can also tune in to us after the show's been on Wednesday. If you didn't get to catch it Wednesday night live, you can tune in pretty much at your leisure. So we're going to be looking forward to that. And we also want to thank Randy at Great Lakes Dragaway. They are our marketing partner for the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. And another person I want to thank that he is a marketing partner, and he's going to be with us from time to time, not every week, but from time to time, is Steve Sinclair of the Interstate Racing Association. So we thank both of them for helping to get us on the air. If you are interested in getting on the air with us, you can contact me, obviously offline, at Michael Babicz, Babicz, at AOL.com. That's Michael Babicz at AOL.com. I'll explain to you how you become a marketing partner with our program, and we'll get you on. It's that simple. So we are now going to bring Steve Sinclair joining us. Steve is the promoter and the president of the Interstate Racing Association. He's been involved in racing not quite as long as I have. He realized that at a banquet a few years ago. But we have been around. Steve was, I'm going to let Steve tell you a little bit about himself as we get started here. Steve, welcome to the program, and thank you again for your support of the show. We look forward to having periodic reports from you as to where the IRA is at, or in the case of this Friday night, where they're not going to be. You can give folks a fill in on that one. But also we'll talk to you from time to time about upcoming events that are all over the place, because we are worldwide on our podcast here. So, Steve, again, welcome to the program, and tell the folks a little bit about how Steve Sinclair decided to get involved in racing.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike. It's an honor to be on your first rebroadcast, I guess. All right. Well, I've been around my whole life. My dad was involved in racing. He was a local. Actually, you're sponsored by Great Lakes Dragway. My dad was a 1957 Super Stock champion at Great Lakes Dragway. So that turned into him building some engines for different kinds of race cars. And we did a lot of road racing stuff when I was young, and then got involved in midgets. And then my dad started building sprint car engines for Frank Filsko and Mike Frost and Larry Hillerud and a bunch of others, and Robbie Punzel at Wilmot. And I got hooked on sprints, and here we are a lot of years later. I think my first time watching those guys race was probably in 1986. My dad did his first motor for Frank, and it's been a lot of races since, and here we are. I'm still doing it.
And now I kind of teased a little bit. You've already had to pull the plug on Friday night, so fill the folks in a little bit about actually, you've already rescheduled it. So you can kind of, for folks that haven't heard yet, you can fill them in on the news regarding your scheduled event this Friday.
Yeah, our wing bumper-to-bumper IRA Outlaw Sprint Series hasn't gotten off to a wonderful start weather-wise. We already lost 2 in Iowa, which worked out because that would have been up against the girls' basketball game with Caitlin Clark. I don't know that we would have won that one, so that's okay. And I want tracks to succeed. The whole idea is everybody, they have a good fan base and they want us back. And that's what it's all about. So I've been talking with the folks at Mississippi Thunder. Forecast is not good. It's supposed to rain there again tomorrow. And, 50 degrees at a place that's really more of a late model track than it is a sprint car track. Let's give it another shot. We had some other openings, and we're actually going to go back there September 27th, which is championship weekend on Friday. So that's a great place. Nice 3/8, decent banking, beautiful facility, just north of La Crosse. So we'll do that then. And as of right now, it's full speed ahead for Beaver Dam until we hear otherwise. I think there's a talk of maybe making some adjustments, starting up a little earlier and try and get done a little earlier so we can beat the real cold. But we'll see what they say. We're gonna have a conversation on Friday, but right now it's go mode. We got to plan like we're going. So that's what we're doing.
And also want to thank you because you've been supportive of we're bringing that back too. A lot of resurrections this year, the podcast and also the Let's Go Racing Motorsports show. The 44th Bars event that we're going to have down at the Waukegan Harbor Marina on Saturday from 8 until 11 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be doing a Earth Day harbor cleanup, and we are encouraging folks to come down early for that cleanup and help them clean up the harbor area and get ready for the boating season. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to start the Let's Go Racing Motorsports show presented by Larry Roebuck. Larry, a longtime participant and supporter of the show. We're also going to have Jim Trado and Racing Roundup broadcasting at 11 o'clock from the Greentown on the Rocks stage. And then also at right after that, we're going to have Most Wanted, which is a band. That's not a bunch of people with wanted posters that you see in the in the post office. It's Dr. Ken is a chiropractor, and he is the lead singer in the group, and they are going to be performing starting at about 1:15 until about 3:30 or so. We're going to have a bags tournament. We're going to have this is kind of neat, Steve. I mean, you and I have seen a lot of different kinds of racing. These are drifting RC cars, not your standard RC cars. They drift just like you would have a street car drift.
Are you going to put a little plastic people around the edge so they get ran into like I see on Facebook?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But what is kind of funny, when I talked to these guys up at the World of Wheels, they said, well, what kind of surface are we going to be on? And I said, well, probably asphalt, probably the street, maybe, some kind of dance floor of, a level, smooth surface. They said, well, we got to know, because if we're on like a smooth surface, we bring our slicks. If we're on the asphalt, we bring our groove tires. I mean, these guys are RC racers, and they have different compounds and different kind of tires, just like sprint car drivers. So
they're probably not $340 though.
Probably not. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And I'll be talking more about that as we go along. But again, thank you for your support with that. And we're looking forward.
Used to go to all those Lakehurst shows back in the day, Mike, and always look forward to them.
Yeah, and I also want to thank you and Tony Jenkins because you have made arrangements. Tony's going to come down to the show in any IRA class cars, the Lightning Sprints, the wingless sprints, or if we get any 410 wing sprint cars that show up, he's going to do safety checks on them so that if they decide to go practice at Wilmot afterwards, they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to just pull right in and start practicing. So again, thanks to you and Tony. Both of you go back a long ways with me. I remember when Tony was a driver, when he was a car owner, before he ever became a tech person and a flagman. He's done a little bit of everything. So again, thank you and Tony for that. I understand we have a young man who is going to be running with your series this year, campaigning for the Rookie of the Year. And he is joining us I'm going to have to find out exactly where he's joining us from. Julian Logan. He's just 15 years old. Boy, we were
opposite Logan Julian.
Logan Julian. I had the name written down. It's right up here. I should have just read it up there.
For a second.
Logan Julian. And Logan, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
All right. The home of Bob Roble.
Yes.
So, well, we caught you last night at Racing Roundup at Jim Trado's program, where he had a number of us on talking about the upcoming season and also the car show this Saturday. And I know you've got big plans with the IRA this year, and fill the folks in a little bit about what your plans are and your goals are in 2024.
Yeah, so like you said, we're running for Rookie of the Year with IRA. So that's going to be our main focus, just running the 410, just trying to get ourselves comfortable, get our feet wet in that. But then, whenever we have time off during the summer, we're going to run a group of 360 shows, or maybe find a couple 410 shows around somewhere. Like I know we were looking at Jacksonville this weekend in case Mississippi Thunder and Beaver Dam got rained out. So just trying to get ourselves back in the rhythm, knocking all the rust off from winter.
Now, what got you started in racing? What was the first type of vehicle that you raced?
Yeah, so since I'm in Oconomowoc, right next to Dousman, the Badger Kart Club is probably like 5 minutes from here. So I grew up racing go-karts before I was actually able to drive. When I was like 4, 3.5, my dad would take the chain off of a kid cart, and he would start it and just let it idle. And he would just push me around the driveway, just trying to get me comfortable before I was actually able to go out on the track. So I did that for, it seems almost my whole entire racing career. I think my last year that I ran a kart was when I was 13. So from 4 years old to 13, we did that from local level to regional and all the way up to national stuff. And then we started getting into the cars. We ran Super Cup cars for a year, junior sprints, micro sprints, and then we're sort of dabbling in the 360s and the 410s now.
Well, it's kind of cool that you mentioned all those different type of kind of entry level divisions and classes that young people can get involved in. We've got a number of youngsters that are going to be having karts on display and a mini cup car at the car show on Saturday, and we have a special award that's going to go to the best appearing future star, is what we're calling it, and that's in memory of Lois Hafford, who is the grandmother of Alan Taters Hafford, who Taters runs just about everything with Steve. He runs the Wisconsin Wingless. He runs winged 410s, a little bit of everything. So we're kind of looking forward to having the youngsters to have a lot of different type of vehicles on display on Saturday. And one of them is going to go home with an award that looks just like the Larry Roebuck Best Appearing Award. That's going to go to one of the big cars. So, and it is kind of fun to see that happen. Now, we mentioned the RC drifters. Logan, have you done any RC racing at all?
Yeah, so actually, the announcer for IRA, Lauren Kelly, we get with him during the winter. Then some other people like Will Garretts and Tyler Tischendorf, just racing RC cars, having fun, scratching that competitive itch during the winter. That's for sure something that you got to do.
Don't get in bad habits with those guys now, Logan. Come on.
We're just having fun.
Yeah, Will Garrett's picked up the win at the Crane racing, the big go-kart thing they did back in a couple months ago. And so Nathan Crane had up there in the Milwaukee area, right near Brookfield. So that was a lot of fun. Scott Carpenter and I kind of announced that on Facebook Live up there, and it was unbelievable the number of people that came to race, and we had a little bit of everything. We had some kids up there, we had some women up there. The women did a number on some of the guys. I mean, they gave them all they could handle. So and I guess they're planning on having another one of those events in the fall. So we're looking forward to that. So. Who are sponsors? Who are marketing partners that help Logan get to the racetrack each and every week?
Yeah, so we got a lot of group of people this year. King Racing Products, Julian Motorsports, Hefner Racing Products, Simpson Racing Products, Bailing Circle Track, Maxim Chassis, Factory Cane Shocks, North Star Powder Coating, Oak Creek Automotive, Bobby Gutneck. Shout out to him. Lauren Kelly with Box 3 Media, Rod and Supply, and just a whole group of people that help us out on the 85J.
There you go. And Steve, I know that you've got a lot of marketing partners that work with the IRA, with the Wisconsin Wingless, with the Lightning Sprints, folks that you want to give a shout out to. Don't want to put you on the spot, but give a shout out to those that you'd like to thank that get the IRA out every week.
Well, certainly bumper to bumper for sure. TW Metals, Cummins Zonin, Sage Fruit, HRP. Autometer has been great for the Wingless series. Gandrew Performance Products. 1175, I think that's the bar that is sponsoring the Lightning Sprints now, and I think that's a 2-year deal.
Right.
We've got a ton of product sponsors. I go on and on. I'd sound like Logan here for a minute if I kept on telling them all off. But I'm happy with what we got, and very proud of what we've built with all 3 divisions, and I take that to heart. And the guys that race with us, I don't forget that. I appreciate the loyalty, and we got a great bunch. I'm looking forward to a great year.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm fortunate enough to get to announce some of your events from time to time. And I always enjoy that. And sometimes I just drive the pace truck, and that's okay too. The Bodycraft pace truck, Mark and Tony Maglio, they've been great supporters of us for a long, long time. And, that's always great to see them as well. Steve and I go back a few years. We've been around racing even before Logan was even thought of.
You're right.
But young drivers that, who's the youngest drivers that Steve Sinclair ever saw that has now just developed or even gone on to, maybe running with the World of Outlaws or running NASCAR or even IndyCar?
Oh, that's not even fair. I've seen a ton of them. I was talking with Logan last night at Jim's show where Brent Cruz had won the Trans Am race at Road America.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea his age. I didn't even know he was racing. And he pulled a pill at out of Gamey a couple of years ago. And I thought Paul May was driving the car because that's who owns it. And that's who normally drove the 71. And lo and behold, I found out I got a 14-year-old racing IRA, which was not really in the rules at the time. And but I mean, he just won a Trans Am race at Road America, so I think he's more than qualified. But I mean, there's a lot of young ones. I've been working at Chili Bowl for a lot of years, and you see them come out of the Chili Bowl and advance. And around here, Blake Nemi got us started at a young age, and then we got Logan here. He's still in high school. And I'm going back to, I'll go back to Scotty Neitzel. I remember when Scotty started, he was a young guy, and he's probably in his mid-50s now, but he's been with me the whole time, So, hopefully, you make a good career out of it. There's guys like Logan, and they're getting experience at a young age, and they're going to be factors for a long time.
And, then it was kind of interesting. A couple of years ago, you had co-champions in the Wisconsin Wingless Series, and you had the young gun, Clayton Rossman, and the seasoned veteran, Tim Cox, both champions that year. And that was kind of neat because
it was awesome. It was awesome to see that. I know some people wanted us to have a definitive champion. I thought it was great. And I don't think that a lot of people understood the relationship those two guys had. And seeing what went on in the infield that night and camaraderie, and that's what it's all about. We made 2 people happy that night instead of 1. So I was more than okay with having a tie.
Okay, Logan, your goals for 2024. What you're shooting for?
Yeah, I mean, running Rookie of the Year. I mean, Sage Fruit Rookie of the Year. That's our main goal right now. But I mean, other than that, just going out, trying to get respect from everybody. Just go out and having fun, learning a ton of stuff, obviously. So, I got a lot of years left to do this. So, just getting to start somewhere and just going out there and having fun.
Well, and that's what it is all about. If Steve and I weren't still having fun, we would find something else to do, or I can guarantee you our wives would find something else for us to do.
There's plenty of times I think about that, Mike. Thought about it last night for a few minutes.
So, but hey, we're doing what we love to do, and that is put on a show for folks, and to have somebody young like you, Logan, come along, and Steve and I will be sitting here in our rocking chairs and saying, we remember when Logan ran his first IRA race, or won his first IRA feature. Maybe you're going to do all that this year. We'll be watching, Logan, and we'll get you on a future show. And Steve, I know you one other thing I didn't catch if you mentioned it earlier, but the rescheduled date for Friday, you've already set that?
Yeah, Friday, September 27th, Mississippi Thunder.
Okay, and that's gonna create a doubleheader weekend for you for your championship weekend.
Yep, then we'll go to Plymouth the next night and for the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships and get her done. Yep.
Okay, sounds great. Well, again, Logan, thank you. Steve, very much thank you for all your support, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the races.
Very good. Thank you.
All righty. And now we're going to pick up another racer who races in the Wisconsin Wingless Sprints, a past champion in the Wisconsin Wingless Sprints, Ryan Marshall. Ryan Marshall joining us from Kansasville, I do believe.
Yeah, sitting here at home.
the Kansasville Comet. And he's been a great runner at Wilmot. He's a second-generation driver. His dad, Larry Marshall, ran with us for a lot of years and has even run a few times recently when I, 3 o'clock in the morning, put him in the results. And, and Ryan texts me, that's my dad. So, but I actually have announced both of you. So
yeah, you did. I remember when I was a kid, you announced them for my dad. So it's pretty neat.
There you go. So, well, we are very glad to have you with us. And we also know that you've already had the MLS car out and done some practice with it. And you're going to have it at the car show on Saturday. So fill the folks in a little bit about how you've done in the past, because we got new viewers on here from literally all over the world. So fill the folks in on what you've done in the past and plans for 2024.
All right. So I started racing. I started racing at Wilmot when I was 13 in a street stock. Moved up to the modifieds when I was 15. Kind of took a few years off there in my early mid-20s, and then started racing sprint cars back in 2020. Picked up the Rookie of the Year that year, won the championship the next year, and that's when I started racing for Eddie and Debbie Boyd from MLS Auto Clinic in 2022. We're going on our third season here, so I think that's we're getting pretty comfortable as a team. We're really looking forward to this season. Built pretty much a brand new car over the wintertime. Kind of unfortunately got rid of some equipment the wrong way last year at the end of the year by wrecking stuff, and the winter was mostly focused on, doing a big rebuild, and it came out real nice. This past Saturday, we ran testing up at Plymouth. Real happy with the car. Don's machine shop motor ran perfect all day. So we're ready to go and looking forward to showing off our new piece this Saturday at your car show.
We're looking forward to having you, and definitely want to thank Eddie and Debbie Boyd. They just stepped up. There's a tradition in our show that show participants get one of these hats or a hat. That's been a tradition all 44 years. And I talked to Eddie and said, would you like to help us out a little bit with the hats? He hit it out of the park. When he had me come to pick up the hats, I looked at him and I said, Eddie, you were supposed to put MLS on there somewhere. And he goes, no. He goes, I just want to help out. And I want to help you, and I want to help the racers. So he goes, I'm good. I'm all good.
Yeah, Eddie and Debbie are a major part of our sport in this area, and I'm very fortunate to drive for them. It's a really big honor, and I don't think there's anybody at the racetrack that would have anything ill to say about Eddie and Debbie. I think it's, they're highly respected people. They're a huge part of our sport around here, which that's nice. And their shop is second to none in our area too. It's conveniently located right off of Highway 50 in Paddock Lake, right behind Bumper to Bumper. And I mean, how many places can you go and drop off your cart and talk about racing? So that's always a good time down there.
Yep, and they've been doing a great job on my car and my wife Kathy's car recently. We've had to have when cars, especially when you're a racer and you're a referee, you do put a lot of miles on a car.
Oh, yeah.
And so mine has had just about a complete overhaul at MLS Auto Clinic, and they do a great job. So you've had the success. You've won. You also won a big race last year in Indiana, and I think I want you to share a little bit about that experience of going down there, what the race was like, and how you felt picking up that win, because that's like winning the Knoxville Nationals in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as big as winning the Knoxville Nationals. That's a huge deal, but for us, it certainly felt like it that night. We ran Gas City back in, I think it was 21 when the Wisconsin Wingless went down there for a 2-day show. And it was one of those weekends when we were down there. The weather was bad. It was like 50-mile-an-hour winds. We got rained out on Friday night, so we ended up doing a day race Saturday, a doubleheader. The track slicked off a lot when we were down there, so it wasn't a really good reading of what their normal program usually is like. And so we went down kind of blind back in August last year to Gas City with the Steel Block, Stronger Than Steel Block series, I think it is. And they put on they called it the Steel Block Nationals. It's a pretty cool deal. Our deal up here, everybody's on the same engine program. And that deal down there is actually, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's naturally aspirated and it's in a steel, it's a cast iron block. So we were, some of them guys, they had the 410s where we run the 604 crate. So we were, 200, 300, 400 horsepower down compared to some of them guys. And fortunately, the track widened out towards the end of the night and towards the end of the feature, and slicked off quite a bit where the horsepower wasn't so important. And we were able to pick our way back up to the front and pick up the win. And then the second day, unfortunately, was at Montpelier, and that one got rained out after we got there. So that's how we became the Steel Block National Champions, I guess you call it. And we partied like we did, and we had a good time when we were down there. It was one of those things where you don't get to do stuff like that very often. We weren't really expecting to win down there, and anytime you get to go out of state and win against guys that you don't race with is always fun. It's a good time. So we had a lot of fun, and we're probably going to run a couple more shows with them when they're in the area this year. I think they're going to Kankakee or something like that. So I think that'll be the closest they come up in our area, and we're going to go down there. And this year we'll actually we're going to have a 410 steel block ourselves this year too. So we're going to kind of venture out with that a couple times if everything goes right, and hopefully it'll be done by the USAC show at Wilmot. And we're going to try to run the 604 Wisconsin Wingless car and the USAC show at the same night, do doubleheader at Wilmot, and then the next night we're going up to Angel Park with the 410 hopefully. Well,
I'll tell you what, a number of years ago, Jim Mullis decided to go down to Florida to race before the season started and run the sprint car, speed weeks down there, where you run 5-6 nights in a row, most of them at East Bay. And I can remember watching him race there, and there was 60 cars. Some young kid from California named Jeff Gordon was making his first sprint car start there, and was among the drivers. Well, Jim took his licks a little bit, but he also did a lot. After he came back home that year to Wilmot, he won the track championship.
Yeah.
And when I talked to him about it, at the banquet, I said, what do you credit this year to? He goes, Florida.
Sure.
Because I learned so much down there racing against those people from all over the country and literally all over the world, because there were some guys from Australia and other, countries that were there. He said that's, you got to get out of your backyard sometime before, to learn. And he goes, I learned so much there. And he goes, I brought it back to Wilmot and won the championship. So your goals for 2024, I mean, do you points race, or do you just, hey, I'm here to race, the points will fall where they may?
It depends on where we're sitting. You know, the goal in mind this year is I would really like to win a Wilmot championship and a Wisconsin Wingless championship this year. I've actually never clicked off a Wilmot championship yet, so really shooting for that. And it'll be, if we can do it this year, it'll actually be 20 years to the day that my dad winning a Wilmot championship. So that'll be kind of cool if we could click that off. It's one of those type of things where we got a joke between us, and you know, he always pokes me a bit with that. So he's got one and I don't, but hopefully we can change that story this year. And
well, you got to put him in one of your cars.
I've tried to get him in a sprint car, but I think his I think he's hung up the steering wheel finally. It'd be quite the show to see him back in a modified or a street stock or something like that. But I don't think he'd get in a sprint car.
All righty. Well, again, besides of course Debbie and Eddie Boyd and MLS Auto Clinic, other folks you want to give a quick shout out to before we let you go? Yeah,
MLS Auto Clinic, Don's Machine Shop, Pit Road Apparel, Final Fabrication, DRC Chassis, Sharp Advantage, the Blast Shop, Gambler's Tavern, T-Max Saloon. I think I got them all. And all the fans that always buy that, you know, buying merchandise and T-shirts and hats like that is a big thing too. So big thanks to the fans that do all that and all the support that help us get up and down the road during the season too. So that's a big help. All right. Well, Ryan, we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Hopefully you can come down a little early and help with the cleanup because you know, we want to be involved with the community. There's
sure.
The
Harbor people are being great. They are giving us the run of the place just about, and it's to be honest, it's not costing me a penny.
There you go.
You know, so we want everybody to come down, have a good time, and we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thanks a lot. Right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And that was Ryan Marshall joining us, and now we're going to pull him in from the green room because I know he's got some duties that he has to do at home. Chris Klemko is going to join us now. There's Chris, and again, like I said, I know he's got some duties that he's got to do, so we won't keep him too long. You know, besides being a race car driver and besides being involved in the promotions of the racing events now at Wilmot. He also runs, is it a ranch or a farm or a combo?
Oh, it's a hobby farm, Mike.
There you go. There you go. So, well, Chris, welcome to the program. Another second generation driver. It was kind of fun a few years ago when you won the Wilmot Wingless Championship, and I got to present that trophy to you. And my first year at Wilmot, when I worked for Ray and Joan Toff back in 1980, the first trophy that I presented at the Wilmot banquet was to your dad. So I got to do both.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty neat. Again, we thank Wilmot Raceway. They are supporting us with the car show, with sponsoring all of the awards that we're going to give out on Saturday. We thank you and we thank Jenny. And we congratulate Jenny and her husband on their new baby girl. And I did hear from Jenny today. She's going to try to make an appearance Saturday at the car show with the baby. So, you know, we'll just see if baby cooperates. Ultimately, I think that's who it's up to. So if that does happen, then we're going to try to get Jenny on Jim Trado's show on Saturday. So, but Chris, I know there's been a lot happening at Wilmot in the off season, a lot of changes physically to the track, and a big schedule for 2024. So fill the folks in a little bit about what they can expect coming up to Wilmot Raceway.
Well, they can expect to see a new wall and a new catch fence. We tore out the old wall that was built back in the 70s and took out the fence, and we poured a new concrete wall. It's curved, it's taller. We put a new catch fence up. The old catch fence from ground to top of fence was about 9-10 feet at the most. The new one is about 20 foot high now. So it's a lot safer for the fans. It's safer for the drivers. If something was to ever happen and a car got into the fence and the fence got damaged, it's really easy to repair it in 10-15 minutes at a night's race instead of possibly having to cancel the race because of the fence's damage. So It's a new system, and it's going to work really well. We have a great team that's been doing an awesome job getting sponsors for the racetrack. So they're going to see a ton of sponsorship boards around the track and around the facilities. Trying to think what else has been done. We upgraded some of the lighting over the winter, added some more lights, 2 more poles on the track, some more lights in the pits, extended the wall and an extra 66 feet, and kind of makes it a little safer in the work area and the staging area with that wall being. So we added some more the rubber barrier on top of the wall in turn 3 as well, in case a car does flip and gets on top of it. So they're not hitting a hard concrete block. They're actually landing on tires that are underneath the rubber. So.
Okay, a lot of improvements there, and I know the schedule. We're going to hopefully get a green flag on May the 4th with the first night of racing, and then there's just a lot of things scheduled. The first bumper to bumper IRA event is Memorial Day weekend with the traditional Founders Night presented by Bodycraft, Mark and Tony Maglio. That's always a fun night, a big night, and we usually get a few of the old timers that come and visit to see races that night. And we're looking forward to that. And that'll be an all sprint car show, the 3 IRA classes that night. You've got the USAC sprints coming in June, I think.
Yeah, the end of June. I don't have the exact date in front of me. I think it's the last Saturday of June. We have the USAC, and then followed by that, we have a 2-day World of Outlaws show, which is actually turning into a nice little event that we're putting together, working with World of Outlaws and SLS Promotions on it. And it actually all kicks off on Thursday night. We're just going to open the concessions up in the bar. We got a DJ coming in. Got a Bago tournament that's going to happen on possibly Thursday night, for sure Saturday during the day. Concessions and bar will be for just made to order food. We have a lot of campers coming in, so we're looking to do stuff to keep them occupied. And then Friday, start with the first night of World of Outlaws, and then we have a country band from Nashville, the Eli Elger and the Faster Horses. They're playing after the races on Friday night. Saturday morning, Anderson's Pure Maple Syrup Pancake Breakfast will be happening. And
that's good stuff.
So the Anderson crew is coming down. Bill Baylog that races for Anderson's. He'll have a car on display. We're working with getting a bunch of drivers, do some autograph sessions and all that. The Salem Fire Department, they'll be on hand. They're going to bring some rigs out for kids to climb around in and all that, so they can see the fire trucks. And there'll be some sprint cars on display. And then, like I said, there's going to be a Bago tournament midday on Saturday and live music, and then finish the night off with racing Saturday night.
Yeah, and I did double check. The USAC date is June 22nd. June 22nd, the week after our Father's Day special, which is also an IRA event on June 15th. So, and then we've got something new to Wilmot Raceway coming in on a Monday night. We're going to have some Monday night racing on July 29th.
Yeah, so that'll be the World of Outlaw late models. They've never been to Wilmot, and we were able to get a deal worked out with them, and they'll be coming in on a Monday night. So that's a pretty big thing for us. That'll be a Wilmot show. So we're putting that on, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So.
And then, of course, the traditional Kenosha County Fair. You can't run on a racetrack that's on a fairgrounds without a fair.
Right. The Kenosha County Fair will have the 5 days of the fair. We'll be racing Wednesday night. We'll have modified street stocks bandits, and the Wing 604 class will race on Wednesday night. We'll have Badger truck tractor pulls on Thursday night. We have another truck tractor pull scheduled on Friday night. And then the IRA bumper to bumper sprint series, wingless, and mini sprints will be racing on Saturday night. And then Sunday we'll finish it off with the demolition derby.
Yeah. And then the week after that, making their only stop at Wilmot this year, the Badger Midgets.
Yep. Yeah. So the Badger Midgets will be the week after the fair. I believe that's the weekend of the 27th. So we have that, and then right after that, we're going to start getting into our championship weekends, and right after that, we have our 3-day Fall Fest scheduled.
So again, if folks want information, they go to wilmotraceway.com. The schedule's there, and also updates. Mother Nature's going to be nice to us this year, but if there is a reason that we have to cancel or reschedule or change times or anything like that, it'll be posted on the website and on the Facebook page and all that. Speaking of that, because I know I'm going to get 1,000 text messages, as you probably have already gotten since last night's rain, and the rain even, I don't know if you got it up by you, but we had rain off and on in Libertyville, where I work at Libertyville Manor today. What's the status of Saturday practice?
Saturday, everything's still a go. Practice gates will open at 2:00. Plan to be on the track at 4:30. You got to have tech inspection, safety tech inspection prior to going on the track. Right now, the track prep crew, they got everything sealed up tight with anticipating the rain coming. So everything's sealed up real good. So as of right now, I'm not worried about anything. Everything's all systems for Saturday.
Okay. And again, I mentioned it earlier, Tony Jenkins and Steve Sinclair working with us at the car show. Tony's going to safety tech any IRA lightning sprints or wingless, or if there happens to be any 410 cars that show up, he's going to safety tech those. So when they get to Wilmot, they'll be able to go for you. So we thank Tony and Steve for working that out for us. So.
Awesome.
All righty. Well, we're going to let you go because I know you got some other duties, or at least you did. I know maybe you got them done before you joined us, but I know you also got 2 little boys that are going to probably have to go to bed sometime soon.
Over an hour, they can still run around and terrorize the house, but I'm pretty sure they're in another room watching. Pretty sure.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. Well, Chris, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll be seeing you up at Wilmot at the races.
Sounds good. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And that was Chris Klemko talking about Wilmot Raceway. And now our next guest that we're going to pull in out of the green room is Scott Carpenter. Scott Carpenter, a good friend of mine. And actually, next week, you are going to see me. Why are you outside?
I like it cold.
No. I guess. Anyway, next week I'm not going outside. I can guarantee you that. I'm staying in here when it's nice and warm. Next week I'm going to have a new set. At least that's our plan. From B&L Office Furniture. I kind of like what I got here right now because behind me is a picture of actually when I did the Richard Petty driving experience and drove a NASCAR Cup car on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was, believe me, if you ever get a chance to do any of those driving experiences at the big tracks, do it. If you can do the one at Indy, really do it. Because even though when you come out there and the place is empty, I had tears in my eyes because you're looking up, and thinking of all the history and all the people that have raced there and all the people that have watched races there. And it was just a really, really cool experience to have. And my late dear friend, Paul Kawaya, he joined me on the drive down there to Indy, and he kind of watched me as things were going on. And anyway, that is in the picture behind me. You can't see it real well,
Yeah,
and I can't tilt the camera. After we get this new set, we'll get it all worked out. But anyway, so Scott, you're one of our bandit drivers. We're kind of putting you on tonight as the spokesperson because from what I've heard, we could have 2 heats and a feature on Saturday at the car show with all the bandits that are planning on coming.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of exactly. And, us bandit drivers, we have our own little group messaging that we instant message each other, which is kind of cool. That just kind of shows you how we are with friendship. And not that we're not competitive, we like to keep in touch with each other and give each other heads up and that. And I know that Ryan Johnson, he definitely said that him and his crew are coming down. So you'll have Austin Orth and Jennifer Rooney. I'm planning on being there. I talked to my cousin-in-law, Steve Ellis.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. You're not getting off that easy. You told me the story, but you need to tell all our viewers and our listeners the story.
So, when I first started racing bandits a few years ago, I think this will be 5 years now, showed up out at the track and made a Facebook post. And my second cousin's wife commented, "Hey, my brother races out there with his son." So that's Scott and Steve Ellis. And I was like, "Oh, no kidding." So then, I really didn't know a lot of people then. And I thought, well, I got to introduce myself to these guys. And I did. And Steve right away, he's like, "So that makes us cousin-in-laws." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess it does."
Yeah. So, well, I'm going to have some fun with that on the microphone this year. So I can guarantee you that. Yeah. Especially if you guys end up racing side by side or something, then you got a family feud going on.
I know, right? We do get together sometimes. We're both kind of in that same area on the track.
No, that never happens. Robin's not racing.
You end up apologizing. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that."
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, and I'll tell you, I think we're going to have somebody else jumping on, but that's okay. We'll just keep him muted, because when we start letting him talk, you or I aren't going to get a word in edgewise with Tom Eller. But Tom, just stand by. You're fine.
I'll stay here.
So Scott, tell us a little bit about how Scott Carpenter got started in racing in the Bandits.
I've always liked racing. I was always kind of a NASCAR fan, and Wilmot being basically, I'm in Pleasant Prairie and live out here and grew up out here. Wilmot being basically my backyard. Dennis Spitz used to work on his car just up the road from here. So when I was younger, I used to see that all the time. And once in a while, my dad would take us out there, and I always enjoyed watching it. And one evening, me and my first cousin, we were out there at the track, and we were watching the cars run, and we were watching the lightning sprints. And I'm like, we need to get one of these. And he said, "Yeah, we should really, we should get a couple of those. Those would be cool." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then we saw that one was for sale. Well, he crashed, and we thought, we're not buying that one.
Probably a good decision.
Yeah. And then I ended up looking on Wilmot's page to see what they had for cars, what kind of classes they had, and thought, what would be a lesser expensive way to get involved in racing, and came across the Bandits. Saw that they raced, they raced maybe 10 races a season, which that wasn't bad. I didn't want to tie up my entire summer with it, which it does pretty much tie up my entire summer with it. But it just kind of worked that way. And so that's how I got into it. Showed up, built a car, showed up out there, started making friends, great group of people. Everybody wants to get to know you right away. If you're the new guy, they want to know, do you know anything that they don't know? Are you coming in with hide? But it's a blast. I enjoy it.
And now coming into 2024, what season is this for you now?
Season 5.
Season 5.
Fifth season, yeah.
Okay, and your plans for 2024, and also besides B&L Office Furniture, who else helps to get you to the racetrack each and every race night?
Yeah, so my family business, I work for my dad still, is B&L Office Furniture. They help support with helping me buy some things that I need to get, using the van to travel the trailer back and forth. Great American Tire in Kenosha. Tim, he helps me out a great deal with tires, alignments. If I have some electrical issues or some mechanical things, he helps me out with those. And then Paul out at Luisa's Pizza in Salem, they sponsor me as well. And they help me out with a little bit of financial backing. And so maybe a small discount on the pizza now and then, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, well, again, you've also been on the mic with me at Wilmot as a color commentator, guest color commentator, when after your car had broken for the season, and
Yeah.
so you came up there for championship night. Wasn't it for the Bandits? I think that, or was it the week before? Maybe
The week before. The week before.
Right. And but we're on the mic with me, and then on the mic with me at Nathan Crane's big go-kart event up there.
Yeah.
And you actually raced. Now, what was it like racing that kart at that facility?
It was really cool. It was fun. It was something I never did before. Like, I'd driven go-karts, in local places like Action Territory or Wisconsin Dells, but these things were fast and that track was slick. And you're right, those girls, they kick butt up there. And they take names.
Well, yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, I know they're working on an event in November. I actually heard rumor that they may have something mid-season, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But I did hear that in November they're gonna have something, and you and I might be up there on the mic again.
Yeah.
They're trying to stay away from the Southeastern Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame induction, which is always the first Saturday in November. So they were talking about moving it to the next week or possibly a Sunday afternoon. So, stay tuned, as they like to say.
Right.
And once we hear from Nathan when it is, we'll get the word out to everybody. And actually, Nathan's got some news. If you haven't gone to his Facebook page yet, he's got a midget ride and is going to be running a midget pretty much full time this year, from what I understand, from what I just caught a couple days ago. So we're going to try to get Nathan on a future show here pretty shortly, because he's going to be running all over the place with this midget team. So Scott, and thank you for your support of the show on Saturday. Besides you physically supporting it, coming down with your car, you're also graciously going to help us make sure we've got some place to sit and some place to put information and take registrations, and also to help get Jim Trado and Racing Roundup there. So Scott, we have become fast friends, and that's how things happen in racing. Very much appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Hopefully you can come down a little early, help us do the cleanup, and then we'll get the show started promptly at 11 o'clock and have some fun the rest of the day. Maybe even see you on the dance floor once the band gets up there,
You never know. You never know.
All right. Well, we're going to let you get inside where it's a little bit warmer. So, Scott,
I'll explain to you later on that.
There you go. Thanks a lot, Scott. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mike. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Scott Carpenter joining us from Kenosha, Pleasant Prairie, actually, one of our Bandit drivers, and also the co-owner of B&L Office Furniture. That is one of our sponsors of the Let's Go Racing Let's Go Racing Motorsports and Custom Car Show, presented by Larry Roebuck, this coming Saturday, Waukegan Harbor Marina, 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Be there or be square. All right, Tom Eller?
That's right.
And Tom Eller joining us, and where are you joining us from? You look like you're in a garage somewhere, and
I'm sitting right in the race car.
Get off work.
Yeah, I just got home from work.
And where are you employed at, sir?
Whitmore's Wrecker Service.
And Whitmore's Wrecker Service also helping us out with the show this coming Saturday. We want to thank them and give them a shout out and a big thank you. And what is that behind you? Tell the folks that because now finally we have a race car on our show tonight. You're the first.
Here, I'll show you. This is my Wisconsin Wingless Sprint car. See, it's everything's backwards. It's just about pretty much race ready. Just waiting on shocks to get here, and we'll be able to shove it off and make sure everything's tuned up right and get time set and all that. And we're ready to go racing.
All righty. And people that help you to get to a racetrack each and every week. I know Whitmore's has come back on board. We were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah, Whitmore's is back on board. We've grown substantially the last few years, and she's back on board again for another season. We got Cowlicks, Cones, and Custards out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. They come on board this year. And Pit Road Apparel actually came on board, too. It helped out quite a bit. Our shocks is what Bill Retner, he does all my shock work, and I keep him pretty busy because we bend him up a lot. And he always does good, too. So that's pretty much everybody gets us to the racetrack, and then, hard work and dedication.
Yeah, well, you called him Bill. I kind of call him Wilbur. Wilbur Rentner worked at Wilmot for many, many years as a corner worker and a safety worker. So he's spent a few hours at Wilmot Raceway on a lot of different configurations. So
yeah.
What got Tom Eller interested in racing? Why did you decide to start driving?
Man, it just as a kid, man, all that stuff just always intrigued me. I grew up on a farm, and all we had around us were trucks and race cars and animals here and there. So, you kind of got to know them all. And we started off in door bangers, and when we moved up north here, we took a little bit of a time off, and then we crewed for a guy out of an ASA pavement team. And then we took kind of a hiatus for a while. Life just kind of happened. And one day we said we were going to go back racing, and we found us another door banger car. And I got about halfway through building that. And I had a bunch of buddies that were racing mini sprints here. And I got hooked up with Randy Reed and ended up buying a mini sprint from him and ran mini sprints for a couple seasons. And then this non-wing deal started, and just something about the big sprint cars were cool. The engines, everything's easy to get a hold of. And I tell you what, I wouldn't look back. I won't look back. These non-wing sprint cars are a lot of fun to drive.
Well, and I'll tell you, I probably should have said this when he was on, but hopefully he's still listening or will tune back in. Steve Sinclair really took the non-wing sprint cars from, its infancy and grew it to a class that was getting 40 cars every Saturday night, or just about every Saturday night at Wilmot. And even on the traveling shows at some of the other tracks they were going to, they were still getting, 25 to 35 cars. And that was, it started out, the first year, I think we had 6.
There were 6 cars in the first year. And by the end of the 4th year, I think we had 30.
Right. So, and again, that's Steve Sinclair and his work and his team's work that did that. And I know Steve to this day gets phone calls from promoters all over the country saying, how did you do that? And can you tell us how we can do that at our racetrack?
Well, it all comes back to when you had Ryan Marshall on there. And there's actually, I'd say there's a good handful of us that are pretty, I think we might have a lot to do with that, not to toot our own horn, but myself, Ryan Marshall, Derek Crane, Jimmy Sivia, Bryce Andrews, we all actually stepped up, and weekends that we weren't racing here for points, we'd go down to Indiana and run against the aluminum 410s down there because, and just like you had the story about Jim Aldis there, we would go down there to try things because we know we don't have a shot to win. We're against double horsepower, and, so if you don't have a shot to win, you try something. You try things, see what makes the car work. Well, we go down there against these big aluminum 410s. I mean, there's times we've ran 10th against, some pretty heavy hitters because it turns out, take the wing off, horsepower isn't everything. You got to be able to drive it. And that's what's cool about the downwing cars. And, we'd go down there quite a bit. And then myself, Jordan Paulson, we were the first ones to put wings on these things, and then Eric Wilkie started to do it. And then, now here Wilmot has a new class because, we branched out and tried something different. I mean, I did it because I knew I was going to make more money running in the back of a 410 show with a wing on than I was winning the feature the next night,
Well, there you go. Well, and you and I both have a very good mutual friend, Ray Underwood, the
yes,
longtime voice of the IRA, and a good friend of mine that has had my back more than once, and And actually, to be frank, I've had his too. When he had to take some days off to go with the IRA, I would fill in for him at the demo derbies, whether it be out at McHenry or at Lake County Fairgrounds. And I always enjoy working with Ray. And hopefully we're going to get back on the mic together at some point somewhere, doing something. And I actually am going to see if I can twist his arm and get him to be a quasi co-host with me from time to time on here, because he and I have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of stories between the two of us too that we can share with folks.
Ray is definitely a good time. You will never part ways in a bad mood. He's always good for a laugh. We actually just last weekend we went and did some karaoke and if you want to actually get on the mic with Ray Underwood tomorrow night or Saturday night, I'm sorry, we're going to be at Johnny's Poorhouse. We're having a karaoke night. We're going to go up there and have some fun. So turns out he does Ray obviously sings the anthem all the time and does an amazing job at that. My Saturday nights just ain't the same not hearing it. But, he was in rock bands and done that for years. But, man, the other night, I tell you, he surprised me. He pulled out some Frank Sinatra, man, and he nailed it.
There you go. Well, and it's funny, the names that you just mentioned of the drivers that go around and that used to go around, most of those drivers are going to be at the car show this week.
Yeah, well, most of us are local here. Derek, from Waukegan. Now he lives in Racine, not too far up the road. I'm from Zion, and now I live here in Pleasant Prairie, so I'm just down the road. I actually work in Waukegan, and we service the harbor, for municipality tows and stuff like that. We're working on a lot of equipment over there too.
Don't tow anybody on Saturday if they're with the racing shows, eh?
Yeah, I don't tow nobody. But, Jimmy Sivia, he's here, and I think the car lives in Beach Park, and he lives in Winthrop Harbor, and Tater's around here just down the road in Beach Park. So there's a lot of us that are actually real tight knit. That we're real here in the community as well. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's great that I appreciate the support of all the drivers. I know Derek Crane is bringing his car. He told me he was one of the first ones as soon as he heard the show was happening. He said, "Hey, we're coming. We're coming. We'll be there." So again, we appreciate that, and it's kind of funny. Last night when I was at Jim Trado's show, the Racing Roundup up there at Paulie's Pub and Eatery, and if you have never been to Paulie's Pub and Eatery, I'm going to have to send them a bill for this, but their hamburgers are awesome. I've had a lot of hamburgers, and the one I had last night was so juicy and was so great. It was don't go for the French fries. Get the potato chips, because they're homemade potato chips, and they are awesome. But anyway, I got a little sidetracked on the food there.
I get it. You see me.
But anyway, it was just a lot of fun up there, and a lot of drivers, talking about coming Saturday, looking forward to Saturday. Jim Trado's looking forward to Saturday. We had some stories. We had some things that we did Saturday that we're going to do a little twist on them Sunday, or this Saturday rather. We're going to have some giveaways for folks. Thanks to Steve Sinclair. Thanks to Wilmot Raceway. O'Reilly's Auto Parts is going to have a table with a bunch of giveaways. And thanks to Matt Roebuck and Larry Roebuck, they are frequenters of O'Reilly's Auto Parts, from what I understand. And Matt, I guess the guy there said, "Well, can we come to the car show?" And they got in touch with me, so they're going to have a table. We're going to have Barb Sistak, and this lady, you will love this, Tom. She has a place called the License Plate Garage. It's in Mundelein. Her and her husband have it's literally a garage, but they've got vintage license plates from you name it. They've got racing license plates. They've got sports team license plates. They got license plates you'd put on an antique. You name it, they got it. If they don't have it, they will find it for you. And she's going to have a display on Saturday with us. So looking forward to that. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. You're going to actually get to stay with me till I sign off here, Tom. So just hang in there. But I also want to thank, of course, Greentown on the Rocks, who is actually opening up just for the show. That's going to be their opening day. And I'd like to thank them for doing that. They will have food. And I just heard that Bella's is going to have food. Bella's food truck is going to be there. That was just announced yesterday by Robbie Kutzler. I got to thank Robbie Kutzler because he and I used to work together when he was at WKRS and WXLC over at the radio station. And I had my radio show over there. And I called him on a Tuesday in September. And I said, I'd like to bring my racing show back. Can we have it at the harbor? And he goes, Mike, we got a verbal agreement right now. Yes, you can. Come and meet with me on Thursday. We'll finalize it. We'll pick a date. But yes, you can. Walked into his office that Thursday with my wife. We're looking at the master calendar up there on the wall. And Robbie's like, well, I've got this happening this weekend, this happening that weekend. We got Earth Day on the 20th. We're going to be doing our harbor cleanup in the morning. And my wife looks at the calendar and she goes, the 20th. And Robbie and I both look at her and why are you picking the 20th? She goes, she points at me. She goes, that's your birthday. So she goes,
no,
we're having it the 20th. And Robbie goes, that settles it. We're going to have a big party for Mike's birthday, and it's going to be the car show.
That's going to be excellent.
what he's got a passion for, what he loves. So why not do that for his birthday?
Yeah.
Nathan
or Derek Crane and I always talk about wanting to race on our birthdays. And Derek says the only way he could have a race on his birthday is to have one of those events with the go-karts. And I said, the only way I could race on my birthday is if I went and bought a midget, because Chili Bowl's right around my birthday. And every few years it ends up the 16th being, the night they run Chili Bowl. But I don't fit in a midget, so that ain't happening anytime soon.
Well, you know what we got, though? We got these guys with these RC drifting cars, and they could race anytime.
Yeah.
So we might be able to work something out. We can't get a go-kart track. We might be able to find an RC track and have some fun with some RC cars.
We used to do that in the off season. We raced 10 scale modifieds, and then we raced 1 RC 18 scale midgets and sprint cars, actually with Todd Lear, Todd Booker, Scotty Field came out a few times. And we've had a lot of fun with them things.
Well, we'll be looking forward to having some fun on Saturday. Again, it's back home at Waukegan Harbor Marina, 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock, the actual racing show, the 44th Bars, which is Babicz Auto Racing Services, Let's Go Racing Motorsports and Custom Car Show, presented by my dear good friend, Larry Roebuck. Larry's participating in the show this year. He has financially supported the show, but he's also bringing his Impala. The first show 44 years ago that I put on, Larry was there with his hobby stock from Waukegan Speedway. So he's been connected with the show every year we've had it.
That Impala's a nice car. I've seen it.
So we're looking forward to that. We're also going to have a Ghost Tracks reunion. And that's where, we encourage folks from, Lake Geneva Raceway, where Kathy and I got married, thanks to Kevin Dawson. We're trying to get Kevin to come, the former promoter from Lake Geneva. Also, of course, Rockford Speedway, Hales Corners, Santa Fe, Raceway Park in Blue Island, Columbus 151, Manitowoc, Adams Friendship Fairgrounds. And there's a lot of other tracks. Meadowdale, Jim Trado mentioned the other night. So we're hoping folks come and join us and visit and talk some racing.
That'll be great.
Faye Hendricks, who is she's a walking history book of racing. We ran into her Tuesday night, last night at Racing Roundup. She and her husband, Jim, who used to race, they're both coming and looking forward to Saturday. So we're looking forward to a lot of fun. We're also going to have a bags tournament for fun. And we want to thank Black Jack. I hope I'm getting it right because I'm trying to read with my glasses and the lighting's not the greatest in there. No, it's Lucky Dog, Bags, and Swag. And they are connected with one of the race teams and who's actually going to have a chance. Nobody gave me the rules on a podcast, so I guess I can talk about games of chance until I'm told I can't. When I'm told I can't, then I won't. But they are going to have a strip card, and that's Maligue Racing is going to have a strip card for a set of boards and bags that look like their sprint car.
Oh, that's cool.
They are really, really cool. And so you might, if we sell out the strip card, somebody may take a set of boards home with them. And all the proceeds, by the way, that we're going to have with the show, with the bags, is going to go to the different kids that have cars, whether it be a go-kart, whether it be a cup car, whether it be, I don't know. Well, I guess would have to decide if we had a 15-year-old, like Logan Julian come on. But anyway, we're going to take all the money and split it up among the kids for them to use for their racing season.
That is actually great. They're the future of the sport, and the one thing you hear whenever anybody talks, whether it's fans or drivers or promoters or whatever, anything everybody ever says about what can we do better, or what can we do more of, or whatever, it always has to do and include the kids, include the fans. That's they're the future of the sport, whether the future drivers, future fans. You got a fire suit, you could be the slowest guy on the racetrack, but if you're wearing a fire suit, you're somebody's hero, and that's just awesome, having the kids around for that.
Well, and speaking of that, I'm actually, at least tentatively, I've got a 22-year-old young lady that's going to be joining me on the microphone this year at Wilmot from time to time, and I may have a 17-year-old high school junior also joining me, a young lady. So you may hear some different voices at Wilmot besides Tom Eller. He also was with me on the microphone from the Pace Truck one night.
We were from the Pace Truck, and we sang the anthem one night.
That's right. You are very correct. Also, I want to note Riddick Ride. Rob Mall, his family has gotten involved with this organization. They raise funds. Riddick passed away from, I believe it was some form of cancer a number of years ago at a very young age, and they have started a program called Riddick's Ride, and they are going to have a display and have information on their ride that's coming up, and also folks will be able to make donations to them. It's tough for anybody, to lose a child, and to lose a child, at a young age. As they always say, it's a parent's worst nightmare, no matter how old they are, to bury their child.
It is.
So we want to help that family, and we thank Rob and Brooke Mall and the girls for getting us connected with these folks, and they will have information and again be taking some donations on Saturday. There's just a lot of things happening on Saturday. I again want to thank Grand Appliance and TV, Steve Sinclair and the IRA, a great supporter of my podcast here and also the show. MLS Auto Clinic, Eddie and Debbie Boyd, unbelievable helpers.
Eddie and Debbie Boyd, they are absolutely amazing people. They do so much for the sport. Like I seen your thing earlier about hats you were talking about. They do so much for our sport, and it's not just the wingless deal. I mean, their MLS is all over that racetrack. And if you walk to the pits, I mean, I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many race cars they're on. I mean, all they do is try to help people out, and they're really good people. And like Ryan Marshall was saying, I don't think you could find somebody who has an ill thing to say about them. They're always smiling. They're always good people. Whether it's the first time you're meeting them or, 20 years down the road, you're just as welcome as if it was the first time you're meeting them. And, he's fun to josh with, and he's a wealth of knowledge as well. And him and I are kind of in the same industry. He's up there and I'm down here, and we can just, even if we talk anything else outside of racing, we have so many things in common, and they're really cool people. They really are. They do a ton. I mean, you can't thank them enough for what they do for motorsports, period.
That's for sure. That's for sure. A couple other folks I want to thank, of course, Jack's Helmet Designs. His helmets are awesome. I'm going to have to get him on one of these programs in the future.
I got one.
And have him bring a helmet and show it to everybody. Of course, B&L Office Furniture that we just had Scott on earlier. The Irwin family, Force One Performance. I mean, they are at the racetrack almost all the time. They're going to have a trailer, a parts trailer, at least at the car show for a while. They may have to leave to get up to practice, but they do plan on participating in the show and being there. Goodwin Performance also, of course, Mark and Tony Maglio and Bodycraft they've been around for virtually since 1980. When I started at Wilmot, they were one of my first marketing partners that we got at Wilmot Raceway, and they've both been with me and with the track ever since. And they also get involved with the IRA quite a bit. The IRA's souvenir trailer has been pulled by that truck. And I still say that pace truck is the only one that gives 365 days, 24-hour a day advertising, because in the winter it plows snow.
Yep.
With the lettering all on it. So, again, thanks to them. Again, thanks to Wilmot Raceway covering the awards this weekend. Thanks to Alan Taters Hafford for coming up with the special award for the kids. And A-Main Apparel, the Tennyson family. This shirt was done by Garrett Tennyson and A-Main Apparel, the official apparel supplier for the IRA. And again, I can't thank the Tennysons enough. Cody, Tom, Kim, and I know Kim's been having some rough health issues, but she's still there. She's still doing her job from home and as much as she can for racing. And she's got a day job too. So, the Tennysons are fantastic people.
The Tennysons do a ton, far more than the average fan might even know. And There'll be times that we'll be racing at Wilmot, and IRA's racing somewhere else, and Kim is still involved in what was going on at Wilmot while she's involved in what's going on, somewhere else. They do a lot too, and that's another hard-working group of people there for what we do.
All righty. Well, Tom, we're going to have to let you go because we're going to have to wrap it up. But before I do, I want to thank Great Lakes Dragaway and Randy, and they are racing tonight at Great Lakes Dragaway. So head on over there, whether you want to race or whether you want to watch. They are open. They'll be open till about 10 o'clock tonight. So until we see you next time, this is Mike Babicz wishing you a pleasant evening, the best of tomorrows. Remember, kids, just say no to drugs. Thanks. Good night. God bless. And we'll see you Saturday at the car show.